Shalom, my brothers and sisters in Yahuwah, Elohim of the universe, and welcome to our midweek Bible study. Here we go, gang, day 4 of the week. And tonight we are studying Shemu'el Aleph, which is 1 Samuel, chapters 16, 17, and 18. So go ahead and grab your Bibles and get comfy and get ready to go. Grab something to drink and we'll get started tonight. Tonight we're going to be exploring David, coming into the picture. Okay? All right. Get a drink and we'll get going this afternoon. All right. Okay, gang, you ready? All right. Well, let's get started. Shemu'el Aleph, which is 1 Samuel, chapter 16. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, "How long are you going to mourn for Shaul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I am sending you to Yeshai, the Bethlehemite, Jesse. For I have seen among his sons a sovereign for myself." And Shemuel said, "How would I go? When Shaul hears it, he shall kill me." And Yahuwah said, "Take a heifer with you, and say, I have come to slaughter to Yahuwah. And you shall invite Yeshai to the slaughtering. Then let me show you what to do. And you shall anoint for me the one I say to you." And Shemuel did what Yahuwah said, and went to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, "Do you come in peace?" Everybody knew about what Shemuel was all about. They knew what he was and who he was. And they also heard about how he chopped up Agag. So they were like, Shemuel's coming. What's going to happen? They asked him, "You come in peace?" Verse 5, and he said, "In peace, I have come to slaughter to Yahuwah. Set yourselves apart, and you shall come with me to the slaughtering." And he set Yeshai and his sons apart, and invited them to the slaughtering. And it came to be, when they came, that he saw Eliab, and thought, "The anointed of Yahuwah is indeed before him." But Yahuwah said to Shemuel, "Do not look at his appearance, or at the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For not as man sees, for man looks at the eyes, but Yahuwah looks at the heart." Then Yeshai called Abinadab, and made him pass before Shemuel. And he said, "Neither has Yahuwah chosen this one." Next Yeshai made Shammah pass by, and he said, "Neither has Yahuwah chosen this one." And Yeshai made 7 of his sons pass before Shemuel. And Shemuel said to Yeshai, "Yahuwah has not chosen these." And Shemuel said to Yeshai, "Are these all the young men?" And he said, "There remains yet the youngest, and see, he is tending the sheep." And Shemuel said to Yeshai, "Send and bring him, for we do not turn round till he comes here." And he sent and brought him in, and he was ruddy, with bright eyes, and handsome. And Yahuwah said, "Arise, anoint him, for this is the one." And Shemuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Spirit of Yahuwah came upon David from that day and onward. And Shemuel arose and went to Ramah. And the Spirit of Yahuwah turned aside from Shaul, and an evil spirit from Yahuwah troubled him. And the servants of Shaul said to him, "Look now, an evil spirit from Elohim is troubling you." Please let our master command your servants who are before you to seek out a man who is a skilled player on the lyre. And it shall be that when the evil spirit from Elohim is upon you, that he shall play with his hand, and you be well. And Shaul said to his servants, Please get me a man that plays well, and bring him to me. And one of the servants answered and said, Look, I have seen a son of Yeshai, the Bethlehemite, who knows how to play, a brave one, and a man of battle, and skilled in words, and a handsome man, and Yahuwah is with him. So Shaul sent messengers to Yishai and said, Send me your son David, who is with the sheep. And Yishai took a donkey loaded with bread, and a skin of water, and a young goat, and sent them by his son David to Shaul. And David came to Shaul, and stood before him. And he loved him greatly, and he became his armor-bearer. Shaul therefore sent to Yishai, saying, Please let David stand before me, for he has found favor in my eyes. And it came to be, whenever the evil spirit from Elohim was upon Shaul, that David would take a lyre and play it with his hand. Then Shaul would become refreshed and well, and the evil spirit would leave him. Chapter 17. And the Philistines had gathered their armies for battle, and came together at Socoh, which belongs to Yehudah, and encamped between Socoh and Azqua in Ephdamim. And Shaul and the men of Israel were gathered and encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up in battle array to meet the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, with the valley between them. Then a champion came out from the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath, from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Okay, remember how much a cubit is. Cubit's 18 inches. So when you figure all that out in the math, he was like 9.5 foot-ish tall. So yeah, he's a pretty big dude. Verse 5. And a bronze helmet was on his head, and he was armed with a scaled armor. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. Excuse me. Okay, so 5,000 shekels is equal to about 125 pounds. And that was his armor. So his armor, most men could hardly barely pick up and put on. 125 pounds, that's a lot of weight. Verse 6. And bronze shin guards on his legs, and a bronze spear between his shoulders. And the wood of his spear was like a weaver's beam, is big. And his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels, and a shield bearer went before him. 600 shekels is about 15 pounds. So just the head of his spear was 15 pounds. That's pretty heavy. That's like 2 AR-15s with full loaded magazines, because they're about 7 pounds apiece. So that's pretty heavy. Verse 8. And he stood and shouted to the armies of Israel and said to them, Why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And you, the servants of Shaul, choose a man for yourselves, and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me, and shall strike me, then we shall be your servants. But if I overcome him, and shall strike him, then you shall be our servants, and serve us. Then the Philistines said, This day I shall reproach the armies of Israel. Give me a man, and let us fight together. And Shaul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, and they were broken down and in great fear. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem in Yehudah, whose name was Yishai, and he had 8 sons. And in the days of Shaul, the man was old among men. And the 3 oldest sons of Yishai went. They had gone to follow Shaul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons who went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and his second, Abinadab, and the third, Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 oldest followed Shaul. But David went and returned from Shaul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And for 40 days the Philistines drew near, morning and evening, and took his stand. Okay, 40 days. 40 days is a reoccurring number in the Bible. We've seen it all over the place. And what 40 days represents is it's a number of transformation. Okay, so when there's going to be a big change happen, then we see 40 days. Okay, just so we know that, you might want to put that in your reference so you got that for later on, something to chew on. Verse 17, then Yishai said to his son David, please take your brothers an ephah of this dried grain, and these 10 loaves, and run to your brothers at the camp. And take these 10 cheeses to the commander of the thousands, and see how your brothers are, and bring back news of them. So his dad wants him to run and take him some chow, and get back and let him know what's going on. He wants details. Verse 19, for Shaul, and they, and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning, and left the sheep with a herdsman, and took and went as Yishai had commanded him. And he came to the camp as the army was going out to the fight, and they shouted for the battle. And Israel and the Philistines drew up in battle array, army against army. And David left his supplies in the hands of the keeper of the supplies, and ran to the army, and came and greeted his brothers. And he was speaking with them, and saw the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, coming up from the armies of the Philistines. And he spoke according to the same words, and David heard. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, ran from him, and were in great fear. And the men of Israel said, have you seen this man who has come up? For he has come up to reproach Israel. And it shall be that the man who strikes him, the sovereign, is going to enrich him with great riches, and give him his daughter, and give his father's house exemption in Israel. So anybody that can defeat Goliath is going to be rich and famous. Interesting. Think about that for a minute. And David spoke to the men who stood by him, saying, what shall be done for the man who strikes this Philistine, and shall take away reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should reproach the armies of the living Elohim? So David is not worried about getting rich. He's saying, this is pretty insulting, you guys. We've got this giant uncircumcised Philistine heathen over here talking all kinds of trash. You are all the army of Elohim. What are you doing standing here waiting? Let's go. 27. And the people answered him according to this word, saying, this is what is done for the man who strikes him. And Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men. And Eliab's displeasure burned against David. And he said, why did you come down here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride, and the evil of your heart, for you have come down to see the battle. And David said, now, what have I done? What is not but a word? And he turned around from them toward another, and said the same word. And these people answered him a word like the first word. And when the words which David spoke were heard, they reported them to Shaul, and he sent for him. And David said to Shaul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant is going, and shall fight with this Philistine. And Shaul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, and he is a man of battle from his youth. Then David said to Shaul, Your servant has been tending sheep for his father, and when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went out after it and struck it, and rescued it from its mouth. And when it rose against me, I took hold of it by its beard and struck it and killed it. So he's out there killing lions and bears, saving the sheep. Verse 36, Your servant has stricken both lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, seeing he has reproached the armies of the living Elohim. And David said, Yahuwah, who delivered me from the paw of the lion, and from the paw of the bear, he does deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Shaul said to David, Go, and Yahuwah be with you. And Shaul dressed David with his garments, and he put a bronze helmet on his head, and put a coat of armor on him. And David girded his sword over his garments, and began to go, but he has not tried them. Then David said to Shaul, I am not able to go with these, for I have not tried them. So David took them off. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the wadi, and put them in a shepherd's bag, in a pouch which he had, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came, and began drawing near to David, and the man who bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he despised him, for he was a youth, and ruddy, and of handsome appearance. And the Philistine said to David, Am I a dog, that you come to me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his mighty ones. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I give your flesh to the birds of the heavens, and the beasts of the fields. Does that sound a little familiar to you? If you want, there's a reference for it. The reference is Revelation 19:11. And read it to the end, okay? All right. Yeah, you'll understand what's being said there. Verse 45, But David said to the Philistine, You come to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of the armies of Israel, whom you have reproached. This day Yahuwah shall deliver you into my hand, and I shall strike you, and take your head from you, and give the carcasses of the camp of the Philistines today to the birds of the heavens, and the wild beasts of the earth, so that all the earth know that Elohim is for Israel. And all this assembly know that Yahuwah does not save with the sword and spear, for the battle belongs to Yahuwah, and he shall give you into our hands. And it came to be, when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran towards the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand into his bag, and took out a stone and slung it, and struck the Philistine on his forehead, so that the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the ground. Thus David was stronger than the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him, and there was no sword in the hand of David. Then David ran and stood over the Philistine, and took his sword and drew it out of its sheath, and killed him, and cut off his head with it. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. So David slung a stone, nailed him in the forehead, knocked him out, ran over, grabbed his sword from him, and lopped off his head with Goliath's own sword. And then the Philistines went, run! Verse 52, And the men of Israel and Yehudah arose and shouted, and pursued the Philistines as far as the entrance of the valley, and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell along the way to Sha'araim, even as far as Gath and Ekron. Then the children of Israel turned back from chasing the Philistines, and they plundered their camps. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem. But he put his weapons in his tent. And when Shaul saw David going out against the Philistine, he said to Abner, the commander of the army, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, as your being lives, O sovereign, I do not know. Kind of funny, huh? Because David has been playing the lyre for Shaul. He doesn't know who he is. Interesting. 56, and the sovereign said, ask whose son this young man is. And when David returned from the striking of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Shaul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Shaul said to him, whose son are you, young man? And David said, the son of your servant Yashai, the Bethlehemite. Chapter 18. And it came to be, when he had ended speaking to Shaul, that the being of Jonathan was knit to the being of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own being. So Jonathan and David became really good buddies. They're like, hey man, I see the same things that you see, and you see the same things that I see, and hey, you're a pretty cool guy. Verse 2. And Shaul took him that day, and would not let him return to his father's house any more. And Jonathan and David made a covenant, because he loved him as his own being. They loved each other like brothers. And Jonathan took off the robe that was on him, and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and his bow, and his girdle. And David went out wherever Shaul sent him. He acted wisely, and Shaul set him over the men of battle. And it was right in the eyes of all the people, and also in the eyes of Shaul's servants. Everybody liked David. Verse 6, and it came to be, as they came in, as David was returning from striking the Philistine, that the woman came out from all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet Shaul the sovereign, with tambourines, with joy, and with musical instruments. And the women sang as they danced, and said, Shaul struck his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Shaul was very wroth, and this matter was evil in his eyes. And he said to David, they have given 10,000, and to me they have given thousands. So what more for him, except the rain? So it sounds to me like Shaul is pretty jealous that David is being held in a higher esteem than he is. He's the king. So he's kind of chapped about the whole thing. Pride? Verse 9, and from that day on Shaul eyed David. And it came to be on the next day that an evil spirit from Elohim came upon Shaul, and he prophesied inside the house, while David was playing the lyre with his hand as usual, and the spear was in the hand of Shaul. Then Shaul hurled the spear, for he said, let me strike David, even to the wall. But twice David withdrew from his presence. And Shaul was afraid of David, because Yahuwah was with him. But from Shaul he had turned away. And Shaul was afraid of David. Oh wait, we just read that. Sorry. Verse 13. Shaul therefore removed him from his presence, and made him a commander over 1,000. And he went out, and came in before the people. And David was acting wisely in all his ways, and Yahuwah was with him. And Shaul saw that he was acting very wisely, and was afraid of him. But all Israel and Yehudah loved David, and he went out and came in before them. And Shaul said to David, see my older daughter, Merab, I give her to you as a wife. Only be brave for me, and fight the battle of Yahuwah. For Shaul thought, let not my hand be against him, but let the hand of the Philistines be against him. So he's going to put him into battle as the leader of all the troops and hope that the Philistines kills David, and that way he doesn't have to. Nice guy. Verse 18, and David said to Shaul, who am I, and what is my life or my father's clan in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the sovereign? Who am I? I'm just a poor shepherd boy. I'm not able to be the sovereign, the king's son-in-law. Yeah, me marry the daughter of the king? I don't even have a dowry to give. I don't have anything. Not worthy, huh? Being humble. Verse 19, and it came to be at that time, when Merab, Shaul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given to Adriel, the Mahalathite, as a wife. And Michal, Shaul's daughter, loved David, and they told Shaul, and the matter was right in his eyes. And Shaul said, let me give her to him, and let her be a snare to him, and the hand of the Philistines be against him. So Shaul said to David a second time, become my son-in-law today. And Shaul commanded his servants, speak to David gently, and say, see, the sovereign has delighted in you, and all his servants have loved you, and now be the sovereign son-in-law. And the servants of Shaul spoke these words in the hearing of David. And David said, does it seem to you a small matter to be a sovereign son-in-law, seeing I am a poor man, and lightly esteemed? And the servants of Shaul told him, saying, David has spoken according to these words. And Shaul said, say to David, the sovereign has no delight in any payment for the bride, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to take vengeance on the sovereign's enemies. But Shaul intended to have David fall by the hand of the Philistines. And his servants declared these words to David, and it pleased David well to become the sovereign's son-in-law, and the days had not yet expired. And David arose and went, he and his men, and struck 200 men of the Philistines, not 100, 200. And David brought their foreskins, and they set them before the sovereign, to become the sovereign's son-in-law. And Shaul gave him Michal, his daughter, as a wife. And Shaul saw and knew that Yahuwah was with David, and Michal, daughter of Shaul, did love him. So then Shaul was still more afraid of David, and Shaul came to be an enemy of David all the days. And the princes of the Philistines went out to fight, and it came to be, whenever they went out, that David acted more wisely than all the servants of Shaul, so that his name came to be very precious. And that's the end of chapter 18. Wow! There's a lot going on there. It's pretty action-packed. Yeah! Old Shaul is pretty chapped at the fact that David's getting more attention than he is. Ooh, and then he's got that wicked spirit inside of him that he's been cursed with, that Yah cursed him with this spirit because he is no longer in favor. So now he is dealing with all kinds of wickedness. And he's trying to kill David. One way or the other, he's trying to kill him, either by his hand or send him to the Philistines. Go get me 100 foreskins. And David brings back 200 foreskins. He just keeps one-upping him. And Shaul can't handle that. He's losing it. So that's pretty interesting stuff there. I know y'all have probably read that before, but it's one of my favorites to read, because there's a lot going on there, especially with Goliath. There's a lot going on there. Oh, Goliath, he's pretty cocky. David brings him down to size and then lops his head off with his own sword. Gotta love that. That's awesome. All right, gang. That's all I've got for tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed the Bible study, and I hope that you're gaining wisdom and knowledge through it. I hope that you're enjoying going through the Bible cover to cover with me. It's awesome. It's very awesome. Well, gang, the only thing that I have left is please teach your children. Study the Word. Go back to Genesis 1:1 and start reading and catch up with us. If you've never read the Torah, please go back and read the Torah. If you've read it, go back and reread it. That's the law that we're supposed to be following. Yah's law. First 5 books of the Bible. Okay? Learn the Torah. Follow the Torah and teach it to your children so that they know. Because we don't want to, at the end of times, come up for judgment and have Yah tell us that he never knew us. That's horrifying. That is absolutely the scariest thing that I can think of. And if we're not following his law, his rules, his will, it could very well happen. So teach your children. Teach each other. Learn together. Go through the Bible together. Sit and teach each other. Iron sharpens iron. So teach each other. Correct each other. Prove it through Scripture. Don't argue. Arguing's dumb. Arguing doesn't get you anywhere. Usually people that want to argue don't know what they're talking about anyway. Prove it through Scripture. Don't argue. You say, no, wait. Whatever you're saying here, let's go back and we'll look it up. And look it up in Scripture and reread it in context. At least a verse ahead and a verse after so that you get the full context of what's going on there. Don't cherry pick. Cherry picking causes confusion. Don't do that. All right. That's all I've got. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on Shabbat. All right, gang. Y'all take care. Yah bless each and every one of you seeking his wisdom and knowledge. Y'all take care. Shalom.